Everybody wanted to be the big movie star, but then you realize, like, oh, these people are
Nothing crushed Hollywood's fake image harder than the night Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. Joe Rogan said it best. That Oscars moment wasn't just a slap. Joe Rogan ripped the mask off Hollywood, exposing its double standards and fragile masculinity.
You know who's got the hardest job tonight? Javier Bardem and his wife are both nominated. Now, if she loses, he can't win. He is praying that Will Smith wins. Like, please, Lord. Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
And here's where it gets wild. Joe Rogan didn't just comment on the slap. He broke down exactly why it destroyed Will.
Place that he couldn't get out of.
in everybody's mind when you see Will Smith. Oh, he slapped Chris Rock.
That was a horrific night.
To you?
For me, yeah.
For all the real ones who understood, I'm gonna stand up for my wife, whether I'm right or wrong in any place.
According to Rogan, Smith went to a place he simply couldn't come back from. 1 second of rage, one swing on live TV, and suddenly, the entire world saw through the Hollywood illusion. Instead of being remembered as the fresh prince of box office dominance, Will Smith instantly became that guy who slapped Chris Rock. The tragedy wasn't just the action, it was Hollywood's response. Think about it. Will attack a fellow performer on the most prestigious stage in showbiz, and what happens? He isn't tackled. He isn't escorted out. No. He sits right back down, wins Best Actor, and gets a standing ovation. Meanwhile, Chris Rock, humiliated, slapped, stunned, had to finish his bit alone. No one rushes him, no one consoles him. Hollywood elite like Denzel Washington, Tyler Perry, and Bradley Cooper, they ran straight to Will. That told you everything. Rogan nailed it. The industry exposed its own double standards. Protect the star, not the victim. Protect the image, not the truth. What would you have done if you were in that theater?
Too.
His live special was, I loved it.
Yeah, and it was also like the build-up because of getting slapped by Will Smith and all that crazy shit.
Yeah.
But wait, it gets even stranger. That single moment erased decades of Will Smith's career in the public's memory. People don't think of I Am Legend. They don't think of Ali. They don't even think of his blockbuster charm in Men in Black. The only image burned into everyone's brain is Will storming the stage, delivering that slap, and shouting about keeping his wife's name out of Chris Rock's mouth. Joe Rogan put it plain. Will Smith is still stuck in that moment. No matter what film he makes, no matter how good his acting is, the world sees him as the guy who slapped Chris Rock. It's like pulling your pants down on live TV. You can't ever take that back. And honestly, doesn't that say it all about how fragile legacies can be in Hollywood?
Name out your fucking mouth.
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane joke.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I'm going to, okay?
This part blew my mind. While Will's career collapsed, Chris Rock turned the humiliation into the ultimate comeback. Right after the slap, Rock refused to feed the media circus. On stage, he literally told audiences, "If you think I'm gonna talk about it, I'm not." He held back. He let it simmer. For an entire year, people were waiting. Everyone wanted to hear his side. And Rock, he made the world wait until he was ready. Then, boom. Netflix live special. Outrageous, savage, unapologetic. Rock torched Will Smith's reputation, roasted Jada's entanglement, and clowned their marriage in front of millions. And he didn't just get revenge, he cashed in, raking in a reported $40 million. The buildup made it sweeter. Like Joe Rogan said, it was the best thing that ever happened to him. Rock got his edge back, his fire, and his wild side. It's crazy. One man slapped and another man slapped back harder without ever raising his hand. And here's where it gets even uglier. The slap wasn't born that night. The humiliation had been building for years, and everyone knew why. Remember the red table talk? That infamous sit-down where Jada Pinkett Smith calmly admitted to an entanglement with her son's friend, on camera, in front of Will. And instead of walking away, instead of drawing the line, Will sat there, eyes glassy, forced to nod along like a man stripped of all dignity. That wasn't just a private betrayal, it was a global spectacle. Millions watched as Will's pain became internet meme material. People didn't see the strong action star anymore. They saw a broken man publicly emasculated by his wife. So when Chris Rock made that mild joke at the Oscars, it wasn't really about the joke. It was about years of bottled up shame and resentment exploding in one disastrous swing. Hollywood might pretend otherwise, but deep down, everyone saw it. Will wasn't slapping Chris. He was slapping his own humiliation.
Like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. And it really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
There was some question today about if anyone else had walked from the audience and done that, they would have been escorted out by security or maybe even arrested. The police asked Chris if he wanted to file charges. They asked Chris, do you want to file charges? And Chris apparently said no, he did not.
He doesn't want the hassle. I'd have announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever.
But the part that really stung wasn't the slap itself. It was what happened after. Chris Rock just stood there, alone, shocked, humiliated, forced to finish presenting as if nothing had happened. Not a single person came up to check on him. No security, no producers, no colleagues, nothing. Meanwhile, Will Smith, he gets coddled like a wounded child. Denzel Washington, Tyler Perry, and Bradley Cooper. They all rush to comfort him. Hollywood's royalty surrounded the man who threw the punch, not the man who took it. And then the cherry on top. Will not only stay in the building, but he also wins Best Actor, gets a standing ovation, and delivers a 6-minute teary speech. That's not just hypocrisy. That's betrayal. Rogan called it out plain. The industry showed its real face. Protect the moneymaker, even if he's the aggressor. Abandon the victim if he's less valuable to the machine. In that moment, the Oscars didn't just expose Will Smith. They exposed the cold, fake loyalty of Hollywood itself.
Best thing that ever happened to him. Because then he became like wild again. Like his stand-up was like outrageous. Like it was like the Rock of old.
That night was like watching a Super Bowl. You were just like, what? It's a live event? Holy what the And then he was a badass, and I think he had some white on, and he looked cool as and you were waiting for him to talk about it, and then he got to it, and he got excited.
Well, he didn't talk about it for a while on stage. Like he would tell people, if you think I'm going to talk about it.
Now here's the core of Joe Rogan's argument, and it cuts deep. Will Smith wasn't showing strength on that stage. He was showing weakness, dressed up as bravado. Rogan said it best. This wasn't a man defending his wife. This was a man trying to prove his masculinity after failing to do so where it mattered most. Think about it. When Jada confessed to her affair, Will didn't stand up. When his family life turned into a running joke, he didn't reclaim his pride. He let himself be paraded on TV, humiliated, and stripped of authority in his own home. So, what happens? He explodes at the wrong time, in the wrong place, against the wrong person. A slap, not strength, not control, not dignity. Just a desperate outburst, broadcast worldwide. Rogan called it fake masculinity, a man trying to show he's tough in public because he failed in private. And that's why it backfired so brutally. Because real strength isn't slapping another man on stage. Real strength would have been facing his own house years earlier.
Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
When the world watched that shocking Oscars moment, many expected Chris Rock to retaliate. Instead, he stood tall, hands behind his back, and kept his composure. That restraint spoke louder than any punch he could have thrown. Rogan and others pointed out that this was the definition of real strength, choosing discipline over chaos. Chris didn't escalate the scene, didn't insult Will back, and didn't play victim. He simply delivered a line. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me, and kept the show moving. That calmness under global humiliation set him apart. It was the mark of someone who understood dignity. And in the aftermath, Chris turned that moment into fuel. His comedy career surged, ticket sales skyrocketed, and his special selective outrage became a cultural event. He used humor, not fists, to reclaim his power. While Will's image spiraled, Chris's reputation only grew stronger. That's why many argue Chris Rock emerged as the real man. He didn't need fake bravado, public stunts, or desperate displays of dominance. He showed the world that true masculinity isn't about striking back. It's about staying grounded when you have every reason to explode. In the end, Chris Rock transformed humiliation into victory. And that's something Will Smith, even with all his fame and money, failed to do. But Will didn't stop digging his own hole. Instead of a sincere apology, he leaned into a bizarre, tough guy persona. Remember that rap verse? If you disrespect me on the stage, expect me on the stage. It wasn't strength. It was insecurity disguised as bars. People weren't buying it. To the world, it looked childish, like a man still clinging to fake bravado instead of owning up. Instead of rebuilding dignity, he doubled down on the same energy that ruined him. Even his tearful Oscars speech didn't land. It wasn't about Chris. It was about Will, about how he felt, about how he wanted to be understood. And that self-centeredness was the final nail. By then, the audience wasn't seeing a hero. They were seeing a man clowning himself in slow motion.
Man, there's no excuse for it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't even try to justify it, okay?
And here's where Rogan's take really hit home. The Oscars weren't just about Will Smith. They were about Hollywood's mask slipping. The slap revealed how quickly the industry protects its stars and ignores basic right and wrong. Assault on stage, live broadcast, and still the aggressor walks away celebrated. That doesn't happen anywhere else. For decades, the Oscars sold an image of integrity, prestige, and honor. But that night, the illusion cracked. The world saw the hypocrisy, the favoritism, and the shallow loyalty of Hollywood's so-called elite. It wasn't just a scandal. It was a turning point in pop culture history. From that moment on, whenever you hear Oscars, you don't think of movie magic. You think of chaos, betrayal, and Will Smith's slap. And that, more than anything, exposed Hollywood for what it really is. At the end of the day, Will Smith's decades-long career has been reduced to one infamous moment: the slap. Chris Rock walked away as the true winner, turning pain into power. And Joe Rogan's take is the reminder: Hollywood's mask of integrity has finally completely slipped.